I'm David Ottavio. I'll let some folks introduce their voices. And there's a few of us in one place together, and we have a couple of others calling in remotely. And if you can't hear our voices well enough, we'll move the microphone around so if someone's answering, you can hear them properly. So again, I'm David Ottavio.
Anna Lonergan.
Noelle Savary. Lauren Berkman.
Elizabeth Hutchins.
Okay, I know we have Gunther on the call, and Scott, you're on the call just so that people know your voice.
Hi, yep, Scott's there.
And Grace is on the call as well?
I'm here. This is Grace Mandigo.
Okay. So, Elizabeth and Gunther, we outnumber you. But, of course, hopefully we'll explain things well enough, and your questions will be really helpful for other managers that couldn't dial in and be able to answer some things. So, congratulations that you made it through your first weekend, and hopefully we can answer some things to help you going forward. So hopefully what we can do is we sent the presentation out in advance, so hopefully you've had a chance to go through it. So I will try to go through it quickly. If you have questions along the way, the goal of this is to answer your questions, so definitely stop and take advantage of the script that we have here.
Okay.
So, welcome. Yes, I did that, so I'm glad I put a slide in for that. Our agenda here is to go through what the objectives are, talk about team organization, getting started, resources, communications, game cards, game scheduling, travel tournaments, how you can get help from your team, tasks that can be delegated, expenses, and answer your questions. Nothing better than reading a word slide. So, hopefully our goal here is to introduce you to a variety of tools that'll help you be the team manager. I know for both of you, you're new at this. Hopefully you've both been on MSC teams before and had the benefit of someone else being the team manager, or are you both new to MSC?
I had 1 year.
Great. All right, so at least you have some idea. And Gunther, is this?
I'm new. My name is Alessandro Ratto. I'm the manager for Inter.
Oh,
I'm
Alessandro,
new.
sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I heard you say Gunther before. Now I know who you are because we talked before.
Yeah, we spoke last week.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, well, hopefully this will help clarify some things.
Yeah.
So once again, the way I tried to look at it with this very sophisticated organizational chart is that there's the manager and the coach. They have a partnership. The coach's responsibility is soccer, and the manager's responsibility is communication. Really just being able to communicate to the parents, helping with the most important part, our players, also known as the kids. Getting started, some of the online tools that are available. All of you are now familiar with how to use Sports Illustrated Play, or SIP, and you've learned that that's the way to get your roster. It is a way to do communication, and some managers do find that helpful, but we'll talk about communication tools later. For those of you, and forgive me, I think for both of the folks on this call, no, actually, Inter is in Westchester Youth Soccer League, and PSD is in EDT.
That's right.
Right. So, so the U.S. club kick play is how you get your players registered to be able to play. And that you'll also be using Got Soccer to make any roster adjustments for game scheduling. And it's also a useful place to go to look for rankings so that if you get obsessed with those sort of things. And for tournament registration as well. So you'll all be spending a lot of time with Got Soccer. And for Alessandro, Westchester Youth Soccer League's website is helpful for you for game scheduling and getting your contact info for the opposing team. And in fact, I'll say for both of you, that is one of the important things to do. At least I shouldn't say important. It is one of the more helpful things that you can do, reaching out to the team that you're going to play that coming weekend. It's really helpful to confirm that everyone's on the same page about when the game is. It's really helpful to confirm that everyone knows what color uniform they should be wearing that weekend. And it's really helpful to make sure everybody knows where the field is to where we're going to or where they're coming to. One of the things to note about playing at Randall's is parking on Randall's has lots of quirkiness about it. And you most certainly want to let people know that if you're playing in the 80s fields, that you have to back into parking, because nothing would be more disagreeable than to come have your kid play a game on our field and walk away with a parking ticket because it's goofy there. Anyhow, so it's a helpful thing to be able to do. Some of our online resources, and the hyperlinks are on this page, is we have an important links page, which is helpful on the website, and it probably has some quirky things that need to get updated. I'm the person to reach out to personally to fix that. So if you see things that aren't working on it, let me know, David Ottavio. And it also has manager resources on there, which should be things that be able to help you with tools as you're moving along. By example, on there will be a link to this recording. Oops. Email communication, that's what I started off saying. One of the most important roles for a team manager is to communicate with your team. I'm a really ancient manager, and for me, email was the best tool that I've used, and I would send out 2 weekly emails. Anna is the manager of my team, and she's a more sophisticated manager, and she uses Team Snack, which is a really great tool that you can certainly take advantage of for communicating with your team. It really depends on yourself.
Right. Elizabeth, especially for you, because you can have the kids' contact, the players' contact information within Snap, and it makes it very easy to text them. I find that no child that I know will read an email.
Yeah, I know. I got a question about that. I started with the SI, the Sports Illustrated app, and noticed that just the parent contact information is on there. And I wondered if it is appropriate to ask for all the kids' information so that when automatic go out, the kids can be texted.
So the way that Sports Illustrated Play gets its information is the information that anyone inputs when they register. That's really great because it captures all that information. It's not really great because, at least what I've found in the past, is people have other ways they want to be contacted other than what they listed on registration. So by example, what Anna was pointing out with older kids, maybe parents didn't put their kids' cell phone numbers on there, but especially for your team, rest assured they all have phones, and that's how to get a hold of them.
Yeah, for sure. I assume from my level, can I enter all that information, or do the parents have to?
So basically what you, sorry, sliding over to the phone. What you do is populate it initially with, I can't even actually, I think you can populate it initially with a player or a parent, and it sends out an invitation to that contact, and then they can populate it complete the population. So, it's much easier for someone else to enter all the information, all the contact information. And I have, as from my Team Snap from my family, I even have my mother-in-law because she often does a lot of driving for us. So she unfortunately she gets inundated with emails and alerts. But I've just found it kind of, it just to me was the most logical and simple way of entering it, the whole calendar, practices, tournaments, games, emailing, texting, picture, everything just seems so easy to me. But
I've used Team Snap, and I started out with Sports Illustrated Play because there's a lot of information already loaded in there, and you know, it seems like MSC uses that platform, so I might as well use it as well. And I've already set
Yeah,
up
I mean,
automatic
it's
calendar
totally,
notifications so that it seems to be working okay. You know, the issue is just what's the most efficient way to add in the player text?
I don't know that you can. I don't know how you add additional contact information into SI Play.
Oh, got
I
it.
think the parents would have to log on to their account and add their child, because it's the only way the information can get into the system.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, but
okay.
it's just personal preference. There's no, you know, there's no right or wrong. I just found Team Snap to be simpler for my little tiny brain. So.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just, for my little tiny brain, the fewer apps I deal with, the better. So that's why I am focusing on Sports Illustrated Play. So anyway,
Okay,
I'll figure it
that's
out.
great. I mean, and you probably, you know, that's terrific. And if you can import information and migrate it from our site there, if it populates more easily, go for it.
Yeah, I opened it up and the team's already there and the player cards are there and it's like, oh wow, you know, how did that happen? Well, it's nice to have it there. So
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Elizabeth, the player card. Did you say that the player cards are in SI Play? There's no player cards in SI Play.
Yeah, no.
There are. I mean, Christ.
The roster.
It's just a roster with a feature.
Right. And
But
it
it's not the
also
official
has
roster
all the
that you
medical
need for
well, it has all the medical forms. It has all the waivers, and it has I guess the roster, right? And the player cards, I think, can be printed off it.
Yeah, and the
Sorry?
helpful thing about getting the roster off of SIP is just that you have a hard copy thing.
But it's not the US
It's not the
No. All I'm saying is it doesn't need any of the things for a game itself. It's just a helpful thing that if you want to keep everyone's phone numbers on, rather than what, quite frankly, traditionally what we used to do was carry around a stack of medical forms all the time, and you don't have to carry that stack. You just have
Right.
But that's the only thing that roster will do for you. It won't satisfy anything that helps you for game day.
So how do I get the player card?
What's that?
How do you get the player card? We'll get to that in a
Yeah,
second.
you don't have at this point. I don't know if you have a Columbus Day tournament, but all of our stuff for high school is slightly less pressing because we don't really start in earnest until like late October, November.
Right.
But we'll get no. It's so don't. What I'm just trying to tell you is don't worry about anything because you haven't missed anything yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but our first tournament presumably is the Massapequa the first week in December, and I don't want to do everything last minute. So
no, you won't. But in terms of administration, every team other than high school is the priority right now for MSD staff. So if we won't get our player cards for a little while.
So are they? I mean, how will I get the player cards? How do you issue them? Sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Eddie,
Eddie,
actually, Commissioner, how did he distribute them?
Eddie brings them and drops them off to Upper 90, and they have your team name and your name on them, and you take them up.
Okay. All right.
But
Okay.
you'll have to email Eddie your name. Yeah. And we can, So I manage MLS, so I can talk you through all of this stuff as we.
Yeah, he'll email us all when they're at us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who?
That's okay. A few of us answered at the same time.
Who managed
Okay.
MLS? Sorry. Who was that? Who managed MLS?
Can we go back at the email communication for a second?
Sure.
Okay, so this is Alessandro. It's my Inter is mostly like a 8-year-old kid, so likely I can just send an email to the parents who still read emails. And I want to ask you, do you guys have on the website Manhattan Soccer? Can I email them directly from there, or because I don't have a Gmail account, so or a Google group?
Talk about that for a little bit. There's a couple of tools that you can do now. You
Yeah.
can, from SIP, send an email to the team, which
Okay.
I've heard of folks using, but I will say that I found it incredibly clunky to use.
Okay.
What some folks have done, and I'm one of those some folks, is set up a Google group,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
a way that it's just a tool in Google that allows you to set up groups.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is an email list. And I think it lets you set up like 10 names at a time. And quite frankly, and I can work with you to help you with that a little bit more. But that gives you one email address to send messages to, so that when you send an email, you just send it to, whatever it is, Manhattan SC Inter 2018
Mm-hmm.
would be the name of the group. Because
Gotcha.
you can make up any name you want as long as somebody hasn't taken it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would do it for each year team I had, so that this way when
Yeah.
the list changed, I didn't have to worry about it. Because I managed for, I think, like 5 or 6 years, so I did that. That was, for me, an easy way to do it, because this way, every time someone emailed me and said, can you add my grandmother, my mom, to the list, I just
Mhm.
added that name and I didn't think about it anymore. And they just got copied on stuff, which I found easier than mine trying to make up a list every time I tried to send an email out to the team. And it
Yeah.
also allows me to do what I personally was a fan of, which is recycling my emails, because
Mhm.
as much as you're sending out communication, you're sending out a weekly that says our game is this weekend. Well, the details change, but it's sort of the same format.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the practices are kind of the same unless something changes.
Mhm.
But otherwise, it's kind of the same email, but of course the
Mhm.
important information is important. And I will say, and this works the same as true with Team Snap, folks in general are all overwhelmed by their email and are only as good as the last email that they got. So it's
Yeah.
just at the top of their inbox. So that's why I like sending them on Monday morning, even if I had it written Sunday night. That was me.
I'm going to amend my statement and say that if it's easier for you to use the SI Play, I'm just messing around with the interface right now. And, that it is, if you have access to it, emailing or texting your team is just a click away.
Yeah.
So, if you want to go that route, you can certainly do it.
Yeah, that's true.
If you
Yeah,
do that,
okay.
you have to make sure that everybody on your team adds all the information necessary on their own, so that they're all getting the email. Because you can't
Gotcha.
add the information.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we kind of jumped ahead to the next thing, or I jumped ahead to like the email protocol, which is once again making sure that you copy everyone, and just a reminder to copy your coach to make sure he's seeing the same things. So once again, everyone's on the same page.
Is the coach on the SI app for our group?
Are they
Yes,
on the SI?
it's on the roster.
Okay. So if I send a text, everyone is going to see it, the parents and the coach.
The only person
Whoever
that
has
sometimes
the
Ray asks
loaded.
copied on an email to the team for the younger age group, and I don't believe Ray is listed on your SI Play roster, so you would have to forward him that email separately if he's asking to get it.
So Ray has to be copied on every communication?
On certain things, Ray will send out to the younger teams and ask that he be copied for a change in practice or whatever it is that he's asked to go out and to be copied on. It's not very frequently, but it is occasionally, so you would then have to forward him that email.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now, what used to be the most painful thing and is now the easiest thing, medical forms. Well, I'm going to say easy because it used to be, and sorry for the history, but managers used to have to collect these from everyone. And it was meaning getting like a real copy of it. Now parents have to upload it. In this presentation, which we sent out, it's also on the website. The click here has the link to where there's very detailed instructions to help parents know how to do it. But you know, once again, our administrative staff can't keep up with the number of medical forms to submit them, that we need parents to do that themselves. And they can't ask you to be doing it either, which I dare say lots of parents used to rely on, having managers help them out with that. Okay, so hopefully at this point that's all been straightened out, because somehow if your players haven't submitted their medical forms yet, I'm going to presume.
Yes?
Elizabeth, I would check in with, Paul and just see if you have anyone to chase down in terms of medical forms, because I did that earlier
Paul?
today. I had to
Paul
chase some
who?
people.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
Paul Nicholas,
Paul
you know,
Okay.
I just was Paul last week. Yeah, he'll tell you it's free.
Okay. All right, I'm going to jump ahead. Uniforms. Hopefully this isn't straightened out for everyone as far as your players. I know there's been delays in some players getting their uniforms due to some mess ups with Adidas having enough quantity of things. And the sock issue, I have no idea where they are getting that resolved yet. But it's supposed to get sorted out. But one thing to be helpful here that I talked to Eddie Sutton about this weekend was that given all the spare jerseys that are being provided, they're hoping that they'll be able to work out that those can be used as your spare kit, so that, you know, once the dust settles, and I'd say this is more for you at this moment, Alessandro.
Yeah.
If you want to have a spare kit, because regrettably you will more likely than not have at least one player show up at the game who either forgot their jersey or only brought one. And just to be clear, one of the rules is, I'd say for almost every team, is that for every game they bring both jerseys.
Yeah.
So as much as you try to sort things out, something always seems to happen. So it's always safe to have both.
Gotcha.
But that said, especially at your age,
Yeah.
certainly enough circumstance where one parent was in charge of driving and the other was in charge of loading the bag, and they didn't talk to each other.
Yeah.
So
If
it happens.
you can bring extra shin guards too, I think
That's a great
Okay.
suggestion.
Yeah.
I have a question, David. What is the uniform for? Because we got red jerseys and gray jerseys, and also two different color socks. I guess it's the red jerseys goes with the red socks, and the gray jerseys go with the black socks.
The black socks are temporary. That wasn't meant to be the kit of our uniform. That was just because they didn't have the gray socks yet. If I understood correctly, right? Because we got gray and red socks that you're supposed to get. But the black socks were just a temporary to give you a pair of socks in the meantime.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess the gray uniform goes with the gray jersey goes with the gray socks, right? And the red goes with the red socks. Because we have 2 games this weekend, and there was just a lot of questions from the parents about what to bring.
I will say that we've been having some discussions amongst ourselves here about what is the right uniform for the right time. And, I'd say the bottom line is the most important thing is that the team is consistent on game day. And I think, for some of us, Elizabeth, you included, but not for you, Alessandro, because you're new. The red-gray jersey is a change from years of being black and white, and
Yeah.
having either white socks or red socks. And I think we need to make it a little bit clearer what the kits are supposed to be. And I think that we will also come to it needs to be decided by a larger group, but what you're supposed to wear for the home field versus away. Of course,
Okay.
it always depends on what your opponent has. If, you're playing
Right.
a team that has some kit, the bottom
Right.
line is the game, and you just want to make
Right.
sure that ref can tell the difference between the two teams. And if we need to be
Yeah.
accommodating, we're nice folks, and we want our kids to play fair, and we'll change our kit
Yeah.
if that's what's necessary.
Yeah, and I have also another question. For the spare kit, is Upper 90 supposed to supply us with spare jerseys? Because
So-
what we got are just I think a red practice shirt and another gray shirt. They don't look like anything like jerseys, like the jerseys that we got or
Yeah.
we ordered. Is that what everybody else got?
Correct, that is what I got as well. And that
Okay.
is what they're doing right now. They're not going to be providing actual jerseys right now.
All right.
Okay.
Like I said, I spoke to Eddie
Elizabeth?
Sunday, and he said once we get through sort of the opening weekends of getting things started, that would get sorted out a little bit more. So,
Okay.
but what he advised me was it was not necessary, because I was ready to advise all of you to order a spare kit. But I'd say that you can hold off on that for a little bit, and we'll get that clarified, because I don't like it being unclear for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, you answered my question. It's like, if we've ordered the kit for the player already, then how do we get a spare? So,
No. Right now, technically, right now, the only thing you've ordered is for your child, for your son
Right.
in particular, Elizabeth, right?
right. Yeah.
So, what we're talking about is having a spare that's for the team. That's just, a number that's nobody else's number.
Yeah, got it.
And that's just for when somebody forgets their jersey
Yeah.
or,
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
a smart
no,
idea.
I get
Yeah.
that. And so you
Yeah,
guys will get some sort of communication saying, gee, if you want
Yeah.
a spare jersey, this is how you do it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm making a note to make sure that we get that clear.
And I think that we should have an email about the uniform kit.
Yeah.
And what
Yep.
everybody's asking to keep fresh.
Yeah. No, and we got to get it sorted out. So, okay. Oops. I don't know why that popped up on the screen for everyone, but cool. Because I was talking and looking at my
They're
phone
set.
at the screen. Okay. Alessandro, this is for you and for anyone who will be listening later. I'm sorry, this is for everyone else. I'm sorry, I misread my own slide. For non-Westchester Youth Soccer League, you'll be getting player cards that Eddie will be distributing. You need these cards every week. They get handed to the referee, or I should say, and this is for you, Elizabeth. They get handed to the referee at the beginning of the game, and they need to be picked up at the end of the game. And they're like gold, so you do your best not to lose them.
Right.
Easy to do when everything's calm and quiet. If it's an exciting game, it's something you have to remind yourself to make sure to get.
Right.
And the good news for you, Alessandro, is you don't have to worry about this in Westchester Youth Soccer League.
Thank God.
Yeah. For game scheduling, and I'm not sure if you've gotten the preliminary schedule yet. Anna's giving me the head shaking no, but what you will get eventually from EDP is a framework for a schedule, and then
We don't have a schedule anymore.
no.
No.
All right. Well then.
I don't think, unless last year we didn't have a schedule, I think, because we
Yeah.
were all part
Right.
of it.
Yeah, I think Elizabeth, for you, there are different things happen in EDP, and I think in your group in EDP, what you'll get is a framework for a schedule, but it won't give you the date and the time. Or maybe it'll give you a day, but I have to say that day is sort of flexible, because you then have to reach out to the team you're playing to work out one
What?
that works for
I
both
have to figure
teams.
that out? I have to figure out what day?
They're going to give you a day, but you'll have the opportunity to work with your coach to confirm which days the games are.
So wait a minute. The schedule, location, and opponent are not set. The managers have to dial in on some of that scheduling.
Do you want to,
I think, Elizabeth, what you will get is a schedule, and you may, if there's changes that have to be made, or if it conflicts with something you already had, your coach will work through this with you. You may have to email the manager of the other team to make any
That's fine.
changes.
No, that's fine. I mean, doing the pitching and catching on those details is fine. It's just, my expectation was game schedule would be determined by the organization and the league and then issued. Is that correct?
The EVP schedule, she will get a schedule from each team. You know, I have to confirm how they're doing it, but typically what they do is they send out a schedule,
Okay.
and you are, you know, you hope that you can stick to that schedule, but as you'll see with high school, with New York Cup, with all these different games, there sometimes are times when you have to make changes. So there is a little bit, you know, there's a little bit of give and take, and there's some communication that needs to be done. But, you know, luckily for us, it's just, you know, doesn't start, our season doesn't really start until the new year, so we can get in front of it. And I haven't gotten anything yet from the league, so I don't imagine they've really gotten it together. But I'd be happy to help you once that happens.
Okay. Now, as an extension, then tournaments. Who determines tournaments? I mean, I know Massapequa is kind of a given at the beginning of December,
okay.
but beyond
Tournaments,
that,
Ray Salvadori works out what the schedule, our director of coaching, for what the programming is for each team. And if you've not gotten an email from him outlining that, then I'll remind him to send it to you.
Okay. I mean, I know it doesn't start in earnest until after the new year. I get that. It's just trying to figure out from my end what the schedule is,
Yeah.
who sets it, where the communication is.
Okay.
Make sure that you have what you need.
Sorry?
Yeah, 'cause Ray sets the programming for each team in the
Okay.
club. You know, because, yeah, that's definitely not on you to figure out what the programming is. And it's not even on your own coach. It's on the club to provide what the appropriate programming is for each team.
Great.
So, and yeah, Anna will take care of that now. Great.
All right, that makes sense. All right. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, now to direct it to Alessandro / the Westchester Youth Soccer League teams, where it is much more straightforward and much easier. The Westchester Youth Soccer League sets the schedule for every team and sets who's the home, who's the away, and make sure that everything is sorted out. What's helpful is to go on the website, and I assume that you've done this already, Alessandro, to check it to see that your schedule looks like what you think it is. And also it'll have the contact information for the opposing team's manager, coaches, and what have you, so that you have an opportunity to reach out to them if they don't reach out to you beforehand.
In your
Um,
contact.
So I actually, there was some, I did check the website, so I had a chance to take a look, and it's very informative, very straightforward, well done. My only comments is that I guess because maybe there was only my wife email on the distribution list, she had to forward me the link. So I guess at the beginning there was a struggle getting the communication as a team manager. Maybe because she had to add me. I don't know if that's only she had to do.
Was she listed as the manager on the Westchester Youth Soccer League website? Is that the issue?
It was more like an email communication coming from the organization. I was not getting all the emails that everybody else was getting.
Okay.
She was getting the email from.
Yeah. Hopefully that's sorted out now that you're getting the stuff on the manager's list. If not, I'd say probably the best person to reach out to if you're not getting regular email to managers, and either Eddie Sutton or Paul Nicholas would sort that out. But I remember seeing the email that your wife had gotten one of the emails and then the clarification. I thought that got sorted out afterwards.
Okay. Now for the Westchester Soccer League, did I need to create an account? Did I need to log in and put my credential, or how does it work? No? Okay.
Just go onto the website and you can. Yeah, there's no. What I'm suggesting you take a look at is something any parent any person can look at. You don't need to log in.
Okay, got it.
So quite frankly, if you go to, I don't even remember the address, but I'm sure it's something as sophisticated as wysl.org.
Yeah. I'll figure it out. I have the link. Don't worry. Thank you.
Yeah, and then you go under schedules, and then you know what division, you know what age your team is and which division.
Yeah.
And hopefully that should be helpful.
Yeah, no, I have the link. I have the link. It's very straightforward.
Cool. And also, I thought I had something in here on that, but I think we'll get to that in a little bit. All right, for travel tournaments, we touched on this before, that you register for the tournaments as per the DOC, which is the acronym for the Director of Coaching, which is Ray Salvadori. Touch on that for most of the tournaments. For you, Alessandro, they will be local tournaments at this stage with the younger teams.
Yeah.
Festival, right?
Okay.
Going to the Westchester Youth Festival, which is like a round robin of 14 for a given day.
Okay. So for you, you've got a much more low-key introduction to this. Elizabeth, this is more what we were talking about before, but as far as I know, PSV doesn't do any overnight travel for tournaments. They only do tournaments, correct?
No, that is correct. Last year, they were the Hammers, and there were no overnight. It was all local. Got a question, though. I just took a quick look into the link for, the Massapequa a tournament, just trying to figure out what I needed to do to register. And they had a question I couldn't answer. And to identify, is NSC EDP New York City West or New York City East? Does anyone know the answer? East.
New York City East.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
we're part of the New York region.
So just to get the process down right, then I assume I'm going to email the coach and Ray, hey, I'm ready to register for this tournament. I assume we're still going to do this. Just let me know, and I'll pull the plug and I'll register. And then I'm responsible.
So
is that correct?
The managers register and pay for it, and then instantly print out the receipt, and then submit that for reimbursement through Tally, and you get paid back relatively quickly. Quicker than in my work world.
Yeah, I got that. I sort of got that part. It seemed fairly straightforward. I just wanted to clarify that the league, the organization sets the tournament, the managers register.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Let's just clarify, Elizabeth, that is true for all tournaments except the MSD tournament. You will not have to register.
For what?
The MSD tournament,
Sorry?
the MSD tournament, our tournament in March, you will not be registering for. The club registers all the teams for that.
Okay, is that the one that's sort of at the end of March?
It's like the beginning of March. It's the, I forget what we call it, the kickoff tournament, kickoff classic.
Okay, got it. That was
It's
like
the
in
one
first
where we
week of
can't
March
tell if
last
it's
year.
going to be covered with snow or wonderful out,
Right,
but we are hoping for the latter, not the former.
all right.
I think that's where it was cold last year, and then we had a place to play the following weekend that got snowed out, but our tournament was fine. We were there, so
I have a question regarding the registered tournament for as a per DOC. Do I need to do anything to register even my team, the B8?
No. Your team is registered as a team. All that
Okay.
stuff is straightforward. When we say register for tournament, that is for the DOC. That means when Ray Salvadori says that, the programming for Inter includes, as Lauren has clarified, the following festivals for Inter,
Mhm.
that's what he means, that it usually has a link to where to go so that you're not having to search for these things. It's just asking you to handle the logistics of getting the team registered.
Okay.
Have you received such an email from Ray?
I think so. I have to double check. I have to say the
Okay, if you have
the
not,
first-
reach out
the
to
first
them
week-
or reach out to
the
me.
first week too, the communication's been a little bit overwhelming.
Totally understood.
Yeah.
That's okay. The first week, there are tons of emails going out throughout
Yeah.
the club. A few of us here get copied on all of them, and I can tell you
I'm
that
sure.
um,
You might need an assistant.
behind the curtain, yeah, my assistant is overwhelmed at this point trying to sort out the differences between things. But anyhow, it's all good. Okay, now the fun part. Tasks that can be delegated. And this, I think, especially with the younger teams, is a good thing to do early on to get help with things. One of the things is score reporting. You've seen the emails going around that to the home team in the Westchester Youth Soccer League, we're
Yeah.
required to report the score. Once again, you're starting to do a lot, and and it's very much appreciated on our end here, but I'm sure appreciated by your parents. It would be really great if one parent could take on that responsibility. So while you're writing the email to the team to help clarify things, they could take care of that for you. It's not the most onerous task, but once again, you've gotten the information on how to do it. It would be wonderful if you could get a parent to take that over.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of the parents already reached out to help. So.
Awesome.
Yeah. I have to ask you a question, and maybe I work. I mean, I've been in a different league where technically you're not supposed to keep the score. So I have to say that last week, last Saturday, I don't know the score. I mean, we got kicked the butt, but if I know, should I reach out to the coach if I need to confirm the score so I can put it on file?
Verify, honestly, I think the person to touch base with is your coach and Ray. This is for Westchester. Actually, for Inter UA, they know that they don't report the scores on the website. I'm not sure if we're supposed to report it to the league. That's the only thing I'm not sure of. And I'd say arguably that's because I didn't read the email close enough, because I know things have been sent out about that. But I can verify that.
So, okay.
Okay,
So then
thanks.
for EDP, then where do I record the scores?
As we start, as we get there, they'll send you an email with information. There's a link basically that it takes you to a page in something called Got Soccer, and you enter the game code, which they will also give you, and your PIN, and you just input the score. It's very easy.
Okay, so it's Got Soccer, and I'll need like an identification or PIN in order to do it, or get,
Yeah,
you
they'll
said a
give, they'll,
game?
send- and you won't have that for a while. They'll give that to you
Okay,
as,
game code. All right, so it's a game code, a PIN number. And
Yeah.
who sends that?
the league will send that to you, EDP.
Oh,
And
EDP
just to
does.
be clear, the only time we report scores are for league-type games. When you're at a tournament, that's not your responsibility. That's not something we do. That gets handled by
So
the
wait a minute,
tournament.
it's just, so the game, it's just for regular season play, it's not for the tournament.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
So the next thing I have on the list is the medical bag. It's really helpful to have a medical bag on the sidelines for each game. What goes into the medical bag, we've got a full list of stuff on the website, but the most important thing to have in the medical bag are ice packs, things for those. Alessandro, at your age group, your players are going to have things that an ice pack will make 100 times better.
Ice pack safe for the day.
So
Okay. No, I have, I used to coach in a different league. I still have the ice pack from my other bag.
So
So-
I recommend buying from Amazon a large box of them because we go through them relatively quickly. They're really expensive to go to Dwayne Reed and buy 3 at a time. I think the cost of 3 at Dwayne Reed is probably equal to a box of 48 from Amazon delivered to your home.
Wow.
That's probably not a perfect analogy, but it's pretty close. I've got a massive box of them in my house. Yeah, I'm set up for a while. So Anna and my son are on the same team. Anna, I'm thankful for being the manager, and I'm the guy who brings the medical bag all the
Yeah.
time. And I have a wonderful wife who makes sure that it's actually stocked with all the things we really need. Also the little things in there are tape and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is have tape. Once again, we're not expecting anyone to be a doctor on the sideline. We're just expecting to have some slides to help out during the course of the game.
All right.
The next thing is field setup. As a manager for home games, you'll start getting used to getting emails from Pat Green, who will start explaining on the weekends of, who does what. Basically, for our home games, the only thing that you really need to do for field setup is provide the home team is providing the corner flags, because all of our goals are there. Although, of course, if there's a hole in the net, we're expected to patch the hole with some tape. But the biggest thing is really the flags on the field. That only applies to the first team of the day, and the last team of the day needs to take the flags back. You'll get every week instructions from Pat Green on where to take them. We have a locker that's out by the Cantor field, and you'll get the passcode every week. Oh, it's
Okay.
across the street? You see, I'm such a dinosaur. I didn't even know. Okay. So anyhow, it'll be clear where to go to get those things. The next thing is a ride coordinator, and I say that depends on your team. Like the team we're on now, it's pretty straightforward. We don't, kids are usually pretty good about speaking up, but anyhow, it's just, if that's the vibe of your team to get someone sharing rides, it would be great to have someone in charge of that. If you have someone who likes to take pictures of games, a team photographer is nice because all of our kids love to be a superstar, and we like having those kind of memories. Some teams have social media coordinators, which means somebody who can use Instagram or Facebook for sharing photos, things like that.
Right. So I have a quick question. My son drives. Is the club okay with him giving rides to other players?
I'm sorry?
My son
Yes,
drives. my
Elizabeth,
son's
yes,
driver.
as long as it's okay with the other parents, it's the club that does not care.
Okay. All right.
Any questions on that? Otherwise, I'll jump along.
No.
Well, go.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have a
go ahead.
question about packing.
Yeah.
So, so so this is a part of, so for the tournaments, I realize that MSC does not provide support for the financial aid families or financial aid players to attend tournaments. It's particularly for hotels or any other associated costs. What do the teams do typically for those financial aid players for not yes for tournaments when you travel?
Yeah, for which age group are you talking about?
I'm talking about 13.
Okay. Which team are you from? Sorry, we only got 2 minutes. Forgive me if I don't know what you're talking. Okay.
Sure, it's for the Wolves.
Okay.
I'm not sure if other people have encountered that problem. I just want to know what are some of the best practices, or how have other managers handled this task? Or
Well, I'm going to say there's been a couple of different ways it's been done. One way is, at least I'll put, those families often share costs going to tournaments if they can afford to do so. I know that some families or some teams have pool costs to help pay for the hotel room for the kids who can't afford to go to the tournament. And when they're older, although to me, U13 is still young to have boys sharing a room. I don't know, is that too young for them to share a room in the room?
But I think it's really, really the honest answer is you just have to kind of test out your team a bit and determine what the best strategy is going to be. I've known teams at the very beginning of the year that say, okay, we know we're going to X number of tournaments. We know we have, you probably know how many FA players you have on your team. You can put together a guess of what funds will be needed to cover their costs, and you can divide that among other parents and say, you know, we're asking for a contribution of $200 per family to cover the cost for the balance of the year. I know once, you know, there's a team that's done that. I know other teams who just, you know, basically pair kids who need places to stay with kids who have rooms, and kind of works out. I mean, we really have not, until you get to older age groups, and the travel involves airfare and extensive stays, we haven't really come up with a club sanctioned way of handling this. So it's really what you're comfortable doing in terms of asking for additional funds from parents on your team. It's a bad answer. It's not the answer I want to be giving you, but I mean, that's the reality.
So this is Grace. I'm managing Chelsea, who has the same coach as the Wolves. And last year I reached out to Alice, who was managing the Wolves, about this particular scenario. And she said that she sent out an email at the beginning of the year asking for parental contribution for things like this. And she had estimated, I want to say, you know, maybe you could speak to her about it, but it was something like 3 or 4 tournaments per year, hotels and potential travel included in that. You know, certain tournaments, I know the Wolves were at like the EDP tournament that does not require airfare. That's just a car right away. So it's a good idea to get an idea from Ray what tournaments the Wolves will be involved in and which ones require airfare versus just a car ride.
There's the Wolves will not have to get on an airplane. That's not
okay. Good.
Usually airplanes are for high school teams going down to Disney, or girls teams especially boys teams and girls teams that have to travel farther. But you know,
I think I actually did think I did do some background search. I think there may I'm not quite sure, but we will be going to Richmond, Virginia for Jefferson Cup, and I think someone did mention that they, you know, driving is a little bit longer than expected. I thought originally was shorter, but I think it's up to maybe six hours or more. So some families do fly. So there's no
just speaking,
Right.
putting the Rich Corvino hat on right now.
Right.
There's no way that he is going to give a team money to fly to Richmond, Virginia. Like that's not going to happen. So
And I also
okay.
think historically, that is
Yeah.
a tournament most people drive to.
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
of some people who have the means
Yeah.
to be able to afford
Okay.
a flight, and if that's working with their schedule, that's what they've done. But
Okay.
I'll speak personally, that's a totally doable drive that I,
Okay.
But I don't think, as I said, I wish we had a better answer, but I think what you can do is speak to Alice. I was actually the manager of the Wolves for 5 minutes a couple of years ago. So,
Okay, thank you.
I think I can help. We can sort of figure out what the budget would be and figure out a strategy that feels right to you. I
Right.
have to look back at the numbers. I do remember thinking that I think you have a lot of FA players on that team.
Okay. Yeah. No,
but
it's
we'll
not.
figure-
Yeah.
We'll
But
figure it out.
is
It's
that
not.
something? Yeah. Is it something like U13, 14, 15 going on? Are all the teams sort of internally doing some sort of fundraising for the family?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So that's always done on every family.
Yeah, that's sort of. I mean, it's not just because it's how it's happened doesn't make it right. But historically, that's how it has happened. And I've had 3 kids in this club, and we've had plenty of weekends where I know that I'm never going to see the money that I am. Like I get an extra room for my kid and 2 other kids to share, and I know I'm not going to see that money again. It's just unfortunately part of the bargain.
One of the
Okay.
things I think also, one of the
helpful.
things one of the things you may want to consider going into some of these tournaments is when you get the hotel list, if you can identify the hotels that have the larger rooms, the 2-bedroom suites, for example, that can accommodate sometimes like 6 to 8 people, and they're usually at the same price as the other rooms that are being offered. That can really be helpful for families to split. Either all the financial aid families can split 3 to a room, or you can have a paying family who's willing to just pay for the room and let a couple of other families stay with them. That's also really helpful too.
Okay. Do you also cover meals? Do you also cover meals for a parent and a child typically?
No. Listen, parents. Here's the other part. Like I am all for helping kids. And I think at U13, you can actually say to, you can say to parents, like, we're happy to take so-and-so for the weekend. But, I don't think other parents should be expected to cover the costs for parents at tournaments. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? It's just not,
Right.
that's
yeah, and
Right.
I'd
I
also say,
understand. Yeah.
frankly, for the meals for the kids, it's one thing to be able to help cover their hotel and take care, making sure they get to the tournament by giving them a ride down there.
Yes.
But having to take care of their meals down there,
This sounds a little, I am truly a nice person, but you have to figure their parents would have to feed them if they were at home. So,
Right.
I think
Yeah.
the expectation, and I think that we can, obviously we're not a ginormous organization. This is on a case by case basis, but I think that, your coach probably has a good relationship with these kids as well, and sometimes with the parents, and it may be easier for them to say, please make sure that so-and-so has some money to pay for things, which, and honestly, there really won't be pushback. People are, very
Sure.
gracious and
Sure.
thankful for the help, but by the same token, or have pride, there's a pride part of all this, and they, I've never had somebody say no.
Right. Sure.
All right. So I have a quick question. Scenario, folks, a team can be fielded for a game, an away game, and there just aren't enough cars to go around. Something has to be rented. Who picks up the cost?
What?
sharing a rental car cost for getting to a game.
Yeah.
I've never encountered that. And I would dare say that, you know, that's got to get shared by who's ever renting the car. But if that's trying to get scholarship kids to a game, I've never encountered that. But yeah, I guess if it did, that would go into the category of shared teams expenses. But I think that's a little beyond.
So the club doesn't pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
So the club is not expected to pick
The
that up.
club definitely does not pay for car rentals or for hotels, you know, for any.
Right.
The
Okay.
club reimburse, you know, the club pays for the tournament fees. The club pays to send the coach to the game. They pay for the coach's accommodation for the tournament, but, you know, and obviously they're paying the coach and they're paying them to be there, but they do not pick up the peripherals in any shape or form or the team itself.
We almost had that happen Memorial Day last weekend. We had several parents on our club that had kids, another, 3 kids, each in a tournament in a different location. So a lot of my people that gave rides couldn't. What it boiled down to was looking at the Long Island Railroad schedule, and I said, here's the closest station, call when you get here and we'll taxi you over. And eventually, I think people found the rides, but that's what it came down to.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've rented many cars to go to tournaments and games, but that quite frankly was a me decision, not a. And I like taking other kids to the game, but once again, that's a me thing, not any other thing.
Right. Okay.
All right. I'm sure we'll get back to more. I'll jump to the next thing. I'm on slide 6. I guess we've been on this one. There we go. Oops.
What? There.
Okay. So this is jumping in for those that play in leagues other than Westchester Youth Soccer League. For each day, you'll need to have your player cards. You'll need to have your U.S. club roster. And you'll also need to have referee fees, which will be, it's listed on your roster what the game fees are for that. So it depends, depending on the length of your game. So that's where I'd love to give out a blanket answer to what it is, but it just depends on what league you're in and what the game is.
So for EDP, is it a little different?
So on EDP, it'll be on your game card. It'll say what the referee fee is.
So where do I get the game card?
So once EDP gets the schedule going and sets things up and has a schedule in place, you'll be able to get that off of the website where you'll be able to click on your game card for that game.
Off of what website?
This is information that you'll be getting later. Once EDP sends you the information, it'll be on Got Soccer, but this is information that's not been distributed yet for the high school team. So it'll be coming out later, after the high school season, or I should say close to the end of the high school season.
Okay, so that's fine. So the EDP, the game card comes from EDP and can be accessed on their site, on the Got Soccer site.
Yes.
Okay. And then referee fees, I assume, is like the ISL will be on the game card.
Yes.
So what happens, and this happened last year a couple times, what happens when the referee doesn't show? Who's responsible?
When a referee doesn't show up for a game?
Yeah.
Technically, the league is responsible in EDP if a referee doesn't show up for a game. But if you have no refs show up for a game, they're all these different scenarios. Like you basically have to agree. Both sides have to agree on what the course of action is going to be if no refs show up. But I don't think you put, my thinking is you don't play a game without refs.
So, but what,
Especially with,
so,
with big boys, you have big boys, those are men playing soccer, like
Yeah.
you need referees.
We had an experience this summer where we played a game without a full ref crew, and it was problematic, and it reinforced why we had another game where the referee showed up close to a half hour late, which in the normal scheme of things is disappointing but dealable. But it was on a field that it was for a game late in the day, and we were running out of daylight, and in the end, the game wound up being played in pretty much darkness because of the late ref. But it was better to have the full referee crew there. To Anna's point, with big boys, it's important. Alessandro,
that's-
those with younger teams, you'll typically be playing with a single ref and
Yeah.
having, in fact, Lauren, correct me, but at U8, that's where you have a single referee, and they'll often ask parents to do the sideline flags.
For Westside,
Yeah.
Westchester Youth.
Yeah.
And you pay them for Westchester?
so
No.
let's say a ref
You know,
doesn't show
Westchester
up.
takes care of everything. There's no referees with Westchester.
So-
That's what makes
so
it a
in
very nice, convenient thing.
So in EDP, I mean, if a ref doesn't show up and you talk with, you know, the other coach or other team, does anyone get called to say, hey, come on, you guys didn't come through here? I mean, does anyone get notified?
But who do we notify? I can't name right now, but I can get that for you, who you're supposed to contact.
It'll be on the email that they send to me.
Is it? Okay.
Email
Sorry, I have
from-
another bit. On your game card, that information should be there.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Great.
All right. I haven't looked at one myself in a while, so I lost track. Thank you. Great question. Okay,
All right,
for
thanks for the comment about the big
Westchester,
guys.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh, no, thanks for the comment about the big guys. No
Oh.
refs don't play.
Yeah, no. So for Westchester Youth Soccer League, your life is really simple and straightforward in that you just have these new game lineup cards. Although one thing is that you will have to print them each week because they do have a timestamp on it. And the
Yeah.
league is making sure that you have to have a timestamp between Wednesday and Friday or Wednesday and Saturday, whatever the timestamp is on it. And the reason why they do that is to make sure that your roster is valid and up to date. Otherwise, they put big marks on it that say not valid, which, typically early in the week, and especially at this point in the season, where new folks are coming on the team, new players, new managers are being put in place. But otherwise, you just have this printout that you show to the referee, and you should be set.
Yeah, I did it on Sunday.
What's that?
I did it on Sunday.
Yep. In fact, you're looking at the screen right now with your game cards. That's by the way I knew about it. It looked like it was by getting yours. So
Yeah. Paul sent it to me last week. Did somebody's gonna send it to me, or should I go online somewhere and get it?
you're set up to be once. I know you had some administrative things to get through to become officially the manager on the team.
Yeah.
And then that's when you'll get the right info for logging in and getting your thing. I said before you don't need to log in, but this is one thing you will need to log in to get. And you'll get that info, print that each week.
Can I log in without while I'm waiting for the clearance to go through?
No, until you're until you get through the rigorous background check, and they get you set up. I'm assuming that that's going to happen this week.
Okay, got it.
Today on Wednesday, it's probably not set up. I have the highest faith in Paul Nicholas that once it's set up, he will let you know sooner than the league lets you know.
Okay.
Because he's great. I also point out the team roster, and I say that just for reference only because as we talked about before, what if the ref doesn't show up? You will often have the question of what if the players aren't showing up, like making sure you have enough players for the game. And historically, I use the medical forms to get every phone number from each family to start calling and finding out who knows where the player is, to find out that they're in a car on the way. But anyhow, so it's helpful to have your team roster there so that you're not scrambling or looking at your phone. So that's where, to me, a piece of paper is helpful.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Expenses, we mentioned it before, but once again, anything that you're spending money on for the team that we appreciate you're doing, like tournament fees or league fees and the referee fees that we talked about before, using the system we have is called Tally. And then at least what I found is it's pretty fast about getting reimbursement back for all approvable expenses. Not for rental cars, not for hotels, but for the other things we've talked about. And also, to be clear, I mentioned medical bags before. Each team has a budget of, I think, $100 that can be spent on things like that. So, for those ice packs that I recommended ordering from Amazon, you can expense that. Things that you can expense are the team bench, which we mentioned before. That's usually something some parents chip in and buy, and quite frankly, I think I've bought 2 in my time, and I'm hoping that they're being passed back to teams until they break. So yeah. And once again, the team bench is not a requisite thing, and you'll come to discover how important it is for your team. A lot of times there's benches at fields you go to.
Actually, our fields are the ones that there aren't benches.
Yeah.
Most other places have them.
At the younger age groups, they are an incredibly helpful organizational tool to keep players on the sideline from getting distracted and keeping them focused on the game. So I highly recommend each team have a team bench, but I'm not saying that you have to have it. It's just helpful. As Anna pointed out, if you're playing on Randall, you definitely need it.
So you mean team bench for Randalls, right?
Yeah, well, some places we go to don't have bench. I mean, it used to live in the back of my car.
Are these things collapsible?
Yes.
Like,
oh yeah, no.
I don't have a 4x4.
No, it's a collapsible bench that I think the one we had was for 4 or 5. I've lost track. They're made by something or other. Yeah, there's a few. There's no brand allegiance here. It's just, once again, it's helpful. Quite frankly, as the season starts, you'll see them. That you'll see enough of them that are out there, and not to be advertising Amazon, but it's something it's pretty easy to get off of there. So we've been asking a bunch of questions during, folks have had really great questions, but are there any other things that we didn't cover that could be helpful?
Yeah, I do. Maybe it's not possible, but I was wondering on the SI app, can you download the schedule on the SI app, because it doesn't really have any events?
I will say on the Sports Illustrated Play app, I will say it is an app that has lots of functionality that we are not fully utilizing because it wants to be our everything. So it has things on it. But it has things like photo galleries, which are not inhabited with anything, and I'm not the least bit recommending that you use it in any way. So it has things on it, but your game schedule is available for teams in the Westchester Youth Soccer League is on that league web. That's where you're going to see your game schedule.
Okay.
For those areas, leagues, and it's, say for the high school teams, your schedule doesn't exist yet.
Right.
That'll be on that league schedule. But to be clear what your schedule is, right now Westchester will only tell you what your league games are, whereas your schedule for the younger teams, the festivals that you're attending, are just as important to keep track of. That to me was something I always kept track in the email body that I sent out each week, or as Teams on Team Snap put on the calendar so it's clear what things are coming up.
I noticed that the Sports Illustrated Play, there is a calendar feed option where you can hook it into, have it feed automatically into your own calendar. But you do have to enter manually your schedule, your own practices. There is a repeating function, so if it's a regularly scheduled practice, you put it in once and it repeats every week.
And I would say those of us that are on the call right now don't have enough experience using that successfully. If you're able to use that successfully, your team, I'd really appreciate hearing that so that I can recommend it to other managers. Personally, I never it did what I wanted. But that's because I'm old and I managed a couple of years ago, and it may have improved.
So I'm using the SI Play app right now for our families. And as you said, you can do the repeating option, which is really nice. And then the game option has a check-in function where it makes it a little bit difficult when your team is split into two. I don't know if that's happening for you, but we have like a blue team and an orange team for our team. And
yeah, we just have a single.
Just a single. Okay, so it won't matter for you, but it doesn't let you split the roster, so everybody gets the notifications for both games, and you know it gives them an option to check in and say I'm coming or I'm not coming. That's kind of nice.
Right.
But you do have to manually put it in.
That's right. And my challenge is to see if I can get the player cell phones on there so that I can just do group text.
Right.
Well, like we said before, the issue with, or not the issue, but one of the challenges with Sports Illustrated Play is the family has to input the information on there. You can't add any contact info to Sports Illustrated Play. That's done by the family at registration.
Right. So I'll see.
Which, quite frankly, they can go back into to edit, but it takes them going back in and editing that info.
Yeah, right. It takes a couple steps, so probably a link, a couple steps. Who's got the time? And it's like, oh my God, I got to do dinner. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Sorry, anything else?
Not for me.
All right, then my last.
Oh, that's okay. Because I'm so process oriented, I want to know who, why, where, when. If I have questions about, okay, now who am I supposed to hear this from, and when is this supposed to happen? Who do I bend the ear?
So we've set up an email address, managerhelp@Manhattan, which will go to all of us, so that if you have a question, whoever the first of us gets a chance to respond to it, rather than emailing someone individually. It's helpful because it'll go to a few people who will be able to help answer your question.
And that's manager. I think I've used it once. It's managerhelp@msd.com.
Yes, manager.help, I think. I should have that memorized, but it's in my address book.
Manager.help@msd.com.
Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on, I'll have it in front of me in a second. No, I apologize. Yeah, but, It's managers, MANAGERS dash
Uh-huh.
help at manhattansc.org. It's on, in fact, I'll make sure
Okay, fine.
when I send out an email that says thanks to everyone joining in and with the link with the recording, which will be on the website, I'll make sure that I put the email addresses for the key folks to get in touch with, including this email address. That was in,
Oh, thank
in
you. I
fact, you
appreciate
came
that.
on to be a manager. We set one earlier in the summer that was sort of an all-encompassing, here's everyone who you need to get in touch with. And our discussion now just reminds me it's a good idea to send that info out again because there's so many other new managers that have come on.
Well, thanks. I think there also is a list of contact info on the MSC site somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's
All
got
right, thank
the,
you.
that email address I read out, I think on there a couple
Okay.
of times.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Well, that got to exactly what I was going to say in trying to wrap up, which is if you have more questions, please send them to that email address so that we can try and answer your questions quickly.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. So with that, I thank
Thank you.
everyone for their time on the call. I really appreciate everyone with the great questions and helping the other managers who are listening to this now make sure they give you a high five when you see them out on the field.
Well, and thank you very much for spending the time on this.
All right. All right. Well, I'll let everyone get back to their regularly scheduled live programming. All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.